Hello. In this video, we're going to look at the commands used in AutoBid SheetMetal on-screen view takeoff for taking off ductwork. The first command we're going to look at is the start new run with duct. Now, if you're going to use this command, and it works very well for like starting out with a match line or a break line on a drawing, you need to verify all your settings before you begin that takeoff. So I'm going to take off this medium pressure supply duct. So I come over here and I verify its supply, I verify its medium pressure, and I pick my pressure class. You also want to verify floor, zone, system symbol, and any of these other settings that may be important for this part of the takeoff. Now coming down here, I could use the start new run window, and I could verify my shape and verify my size. So I need to change this to a 52 by 12 duct. And I could use this command here that says start new run with duct, or this command on the commands menu, start new run with duct. So I'm going to click here to the start of my run, and I'm just going to go down here, and I've taken off that new system with that new run of duct. I'm going to change my size here. And continue taking off my duct as it goes down the drawing. And I'll just end the run here. So we can see what started out with is a duct rectangular, 52 by 12, and it took it off just using that command very simply. Now let's take a look at this command, start new run with item. This is perhaps the best way of starting out new runs that are not connected to any previously used takeoff. Now, one of the nice things about this, it does give us an opportunity to check all of our settings before beginning the run. So I am going to take this off, and this is the low pressure supply duct. So I am going to verify it is supply and it is galvanized low pressure, and I'm picking the 2-inch pressure class. Now, if I need to set any of these other scope settings, here's my opportunity. If I come over here and take a look at this, I could also set structure. And if you look at this ductwork, it is coming down from the floor above. So I'm going to start this new run at 16 feet, and I'm going to continue on horizontal at 12 feet. So it's going to put a 4-foot drop rate at the beginning of this. Now, also get to verify my shape, and I get to verify my dimensions. Now, it's going to start out with a hotspot. If I want to, if this needed a fire damper, I could pick a fire damper off my mouse menu here, or a flex connector if it was coming down from a rooftop unit. We'll see that scenario just in a little while. So let me verify my sizes. It's 42 by 24. And I'm going to click OK. And now I'm going to click at the beginning of this new run and then follow this duct as it goes down the drawing. And let me end my run and take a look and see what we've got. If I click here, I could see that it started out with a hotspot at 16 feet. It put the 4 feet of duct in it and a square elbow with vanes at the bottom. So that was a start new run with item, setting a starting elevation and an ending elevation before I begin taking off that run of duct. Let's take another look at a start new run with item command opportunity. I have this situation here where I've got a duct coming down from the floor above, and there's a fire damper at that floor. And this is a vertical change correct right here. So I will hit my start new run with item. I'm going to once again verify all my systems are correct. I'm going to, and all my other scope items as needed, I'm going to come over here and start again at 16 feet. And this time I will drop down to 14 feet. This time I'm going to not leave a hotspot here, but I'm actually going to put in a fire damper sleeve and access door assembly as it's required and noted on the drawing. I will put my sizes in. Now, if this was coming down from a rooftop unit, say I was at the top floor of this building, this could have easily been a flex connector just as well as it's a fire damper sleeve and access door. So now when I click OK, and I click where this comes down, and I'm going to go across and continue taking off my ductwork as required on this drawing. If I come back here and click on my vertical representation with the X, I can see I do have the fire damper sleeve and access door. I've got the 2 feet of duct, and I've got a square elbow with vanes at the bottom of this. Let's take a look at another situation in which to start a new run with item command works best. Now what I have here is an existing duct in a building, and I'm going to be tapping off this with a new branch. But the branch command is not going to work here because the software does not know about this existing main, so it cannot branch off. I haven't taken this off yet. So this, although it is a branch, it's really to the software, it's a new run and it has an item in it. So let me hit that branch from. Now, let me get my system set because this probably is going to be medium pressure ductwork right there. And this time I'm going to leave the end at elevation blank because this is going to be horizontal duct straight from the beginning. And the item that I'm going to start with would be a tap increased area. So I have the tap increased area in here, and it's a 22 by 16. And I will click here and go ahead and take off that run. And now I have this new run that started out with this tap increased area. This time we're going to look at using the start new run with item command for coming down from a rooftop unit. So in this case, I've got a 60 by 30 return air duct that's going up to a rooftop unit. Now this is going to come down, and I can go horizontal here in each direction to continue out for these branches off of that. And there's two different ways of doing this. One, I could do it with a T at the bottom of this, or I could do it where I cap the bottom of this drop and then put a tap on each side. So let's take a look at the T situation also this time around. So let me hit my start new run with item. And I'm going to verify my settings. So this is return duct. I get on the first floor. Now, if I'm starting from a rooftop unit, I might start up at higher than the structure because I need to start my ductwork up inside the roof curb. So I'm going to go up to 17 feet, and I'm going to drop this down to 12 feet. And this time around, I am going to pick the flex connector, and I'm going to put in my sizes. It's 60 by 30. And I'll click OK. That's where it starts, and I'm going to go off in this direction first, and then I'll end my run. So let's see what we got. If I click on this, I can see, well, there's my flex connector up at 17 feet. Here is the 5-footed run, and then there's a square elbow with vanes at the bottom. Now this duct actually branches off at the bottom in the other direction. So here I'm going to actually use a branch from command. And when I use that branch from command, I get to verify my size, my shape, and my size. And when I click OK, and if I click on that vertical, the software says, you need to confirm something here. Start from the top or the bottom fitting in that vertical run. Well, I want to go from the bottom because this is going to be at the same height as this other one. So I'll pick the bottom, and now you can see I have the drag line. It's connected. I'm going to go out in this direction, and I'll end my run. If I come back and take a look at that vertical window, you'll see it's now a radius throat T at the bottom. Now, if I don't like that T and I want something else like a square throat T, notice this says last here. I could always edit that last item, and I could bring up my item list and change that to a different T if I wanted. Let's look at doing this drop from the rooftop unit in a different way. I have this same scenario over on this side of the drawing. So I'm going to use the command start new run with item. I'm going to verify again all my scopes. I am going to set my starting elevation up at 17 feet, and I'm going to again drop down to 12 in this case. And I will again start with a flex connector, and it's 60 by 30. The difference here is what I want to do is just put the drop in here and then go back and put a cap on the bottom and then tap off each direction for the horizontal part of the duct. So we have this checkbox down here that says vertical run only. This is also useful when you're doing duct that pass from floor to floor without any branches off of it. And you don't want to go horizontal in that vertical. So vertical run only checkbox. Let me click OK. And you'll notice when I click this, it puts the vertical run only in there, and it does not have a drag line for me to go horizontal. Now let me open up that and show you what occurred. So I've got the flex connector at the top, and I've got my last item is a hotspot. Now I want to edit that last item, and I'm going to make that an end cap. So now I have the cap on the bottom. Now I still need to get in these 60 by 30 branches to come off here. And I have either a tap straight, or I can go to my mouse menu and do an increased area tap. So let me do the increased area tap. It's again a 60 by 30. And I'm going to set my elevation. I could set it here, or I could leave it at 12 so it's at the very bottom of this. I'm going to change this to 12 feet 6 inches so it's not quite right at the bottom of this. And I now have the tap on this vertical drop. And I have a command down here that says OK and branch from. So I can say this fitting is OK, and I'm going to branch from it. And I'm just going to come down in this direction and end that run. Now to do it in the other direction, I'll again open up that vertical window. You are allowed to insert up to 8 items in a vertical. Now I'm going to insert another one of those tap increased areas. There it is, 60 by 30. If I don't preset the elevation here, it's going to put it right at the bottom of that vertical. Now I can hold my mouse down on it and I can move it to a different height if I'd like. Once that's in there, I'm going to do OK and branch from again. And I got my drag line attached to that tap. I'm going to come out in this direction and I'll end my run. So now I have this vertical drop that went from 17 feet down to 12 with a flex connector at the beginning, an end cap at the bottom, and 2 taps coming off of it. And those taps initiated the branches. Working our way down the list of commands, the next one that we come to is branch from. The branch from command is anytime that you need to take off duct off an existing taken off ductwork. It's not a new run, it's a branch from an existing takeoff. So I have this existing takeoff here, and I want to put in this branch for this. So the first thing you want to do is obviously verify your shape. So this is a rectangular duct. I'm also going to use the settings of the item started from. So once I click on this intersection here for this branch, it will set my settings, whether it's system, specs, pressure class, lined, insulation, whatever it needs to be, even including elevation to the item that I click from. This becomes really handy when you have multiple systems at multiple elevations on your drawing. So my size is already in here at 14 by 14, so I'm just going to click OK. And I don't have to have a hotspot here, but it would have been handy. But I'm just going to click here and it inserts the hotspot for me. Now I could just continue going down this drawing, looking for the size changes to change the sizes as I go. And I'll just end that run right there. So that's the branch from command. The branch from command is also used not necessarily for a branch, but when you want to continue doing your takeoff. Now, in this case here, I ended this takeoff and I need to continue in this direction with that same size. So the branch from command allows me to continue my takeoff, although it's not technically a branch. So I go 8 by 8 and I click on my hotspot where I ended my run, and I can continue out until I get to the true end of the run. So the branch from command also allows you to continue takeoff from an existing duct, whether you want to change direction or even go straight. Let's take a look at branch from with elbow. If you wanted to also have a tap and an elbow on your branch, and I'm just going to simulate that here, that maybe I want this to also have a tap and an elbow off that for that 6x6 run. Let me hit my branch from with elbow. Again, you need to verify your shape. You're going to verify your size. So that's a 6x6. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on this and come out here and take this branch off and then that run. So let's see what we have here. There it inserted a 6x6 elbow for me. And if I take a look at the tap, that it also inserted the tap for me. So there's now a tap and an elbow in this particular space right here. That's branch from with elbow. Let's take a look at branch with tap. First, I want you to notice when we do a branch from, and we'll take off a branch over here, this 8x6 branch. And you'll see the software inserts a tap for you, and it uses the default tap, in this case, tap increased area, per the fitting specs. But if you want to select a different tap for that branch, you use the branch with tap command. And now it is set to rectangular again, and it is, in this case, a 10x6, right? And here is my taps that I can choose from if I'm a rectangular. So maybe if I wanted to use a straight tap instead of a tap increased area. If this was a round branch, I have more selections. I could use all these different kinds of saddle taps and straight taps and conicals again. So this will be a rectangular, and I'm going to override the default and choose to do a straight tap in this case, and I'll click OK. So in those rare scenarios, you can see tap straight, that the automatic fitting tap is not the one that you want, the command to use is branch from with tap. To continue on with the branch commands, let's take a look at the multi-branch pairs. Now this allows you to take off multiple branches in a pairs takeoff mode. And pairs means taking off in a pair of points, a start point and a stop point. So I've got some scenarios here where I've got some 6x4 branches here, and in this case I have an 8x6 branch and a 10x10 branch. And I want to use the multi-branch pairs to take those off. So let me do the 6x4s first. So I'm going to put my dimensions in of 6 and 4. Now I can end this with an item, and this comes in really handy. In this case, for these fire dampers, oftentimes when you have multiple branches that have, say, a spin-in with a flex and diffuser on them. So I'm going to go end these with the assembly for the fire damper. So now I'm multi-branch pairs, rectangular, 6x4, ending each one of those pairs of points with a fire damper. So let me click OK, and I'll take this one off. It's going to insert the tap for me and end this with the fire damper. And I'm going to do the one that's over here and take that one off. And I've got a short one over here and another one here. Now working my way back, oh, this is a 10 by 10 and I'm only going to go as far as this fire damper here. I just simply have to come over here while still in the command, put the new sizes in, and then take off that one where it put the tap in there, and I got the fire damper. In this case, it's an 8 by 6 and I want to take off that branch. Right there, it goes out to that fire damper. So I can, again, just change sizes and take off that 8 by 6. So notice in this pairs mode, it's a pair of points that started there and it stopped there, and it's looking for a new starting point. Multi-branch pairs allows you to go around the drawing, taking off pairs of points and branches, one after another after another. And you can see a typical duct layout has many opportunities like that. Now let's learn how to take off length items. So I have these linear slot diffusers here. It says there's 4 slot and they're 20-foot length. So this would be a nice example of a linear foot item. So let me get my systems set correctly, and I'll verify my elevations and any other scope settings I might need to adjust. On our list of commands, there is a takeoff mode length. It's also available to us over here with this button that's kind of shaped like an L. So I'm going to go into length mode, and I'm going to click on the beginning of this slot diffuser and then move my mouse down to continue taking it off. Now, if you notice down here at the bottom of the screen, it shows you the length that you've moved your mouse pointer. So I'm going to get to the end of this and try to get very close to 20 feet. And I just took that 20-foot measurement off. Now I can just end the run here. And you'll notice the items it gives us are only length items under rectangular. I can only see duct rectangular if I'm taking off weld. It's filtered out anything that's not available as a length. I'm going to click the libraries here and open up my air distribution items and take a look under diffusers. And the only diffusers that are available as a length are the linear slot diffusers. I'll select that 4 slot. You can see here linear slot 20 foot, and I'll click OK. Now we do happen to have a button down here on our standard mouse menu that has the slot diffusers available also. So using that length command again, I'm going to come over here and click. I'm going to come down that 20 feet. And this time, instead of hitting end run, I'll go straight for this library button. It says slot diffusers. I'm going to come in here and select that diffuser. And I just took off a 20-foot slot there. So that's an example of taking off a length item using this button for takeoff mode length item, or down here, takeoff mode length. Now let's look at a couple examples of using the counted mode to count items on our drawing. On our menu, you will see here in the commands area, there's a takeoff mode counted. So I'm going to select that command. Now I can simply go around and click on the items that I want to count up. Once I'm done counting them, I could end the run. Now these happen to be assemblies. Let me take a look at my assembly list. And I see I have a spin-in flex with slot diffuser. I will select those. It's now prompting me for a size. Those all happen to be 6-inch. It knows the quantity from when I was in count mode. I'll click OK, and you can now see them down in our audit trail. Now you could also use this for counting up equipment. So I've got these VAV boxes here, and they're scattered around this drawing. I'll once again go into counted mode. It's also available up here with this button with the little dots on it. And I can go around and click where each one of these VAV boxes would be located. Now I have these set up a couple different ways. One way would be go ending the run and going to take a look in my libraries under equipment, terminals and VAV box units, VAV units, and I'm just going to select this size. You can see there's my count. And once I click OK, it puts a little circle representing a library item that was taken off. If I was to use that as a symbol, I'll go in my count mode one more time. And I happen to set up a symbol menu ID and a symbol that match this VAV. I'll click that. It takes me right to that symbol that was set up with the menu ID of VAV. There's my quantity of 3. I can click OK. And you can see with the symbol, it actually puts the symbol identifier on the screen rather than just a circle. So that's just a couple examples of using the counted mode. Now let's take a look at area takeoff. This comes in handy for taking off plenums, plenum walls, plenum ceilings, or in this case, I just need the area of a part of the floor plan of this building. So for some reason, I may need to know what this area E is. So I'm going to select my takeoff mode area, and I'm going to click on each one of the corners of that area to measure that out. When I end my run, this detail window will tell me how many square feet that I just measured. Now I could also put that in as a takeoff line item in my estimate. So if I go take a look in the libraries area, I will find under the miscellaneous folder, the area calculator, and I'm going to pick square feet from that list. It's now square feet, and it tells me exactly how many square feet that I clicked, and it records in my audit trail. So that's using the area mode for takeoff. We also have the ability to do quite a few different scenarios where we can use a drag and drop way of doing takeoff. Now I've taken off this medium pressure duct here, and I forgot to put in this fire damper sleeve and access door. Now I could find this item on my mouse menu down here. There's the assembly for the fire damper sleeve and access door. Now holding down my left button, I can drag that right onto the duct, and I'm going to hit the center line of the duct. And by dragging it onto the duct, it knows the size and all the other settings that go along with that duct that I drag and drop this onto. I'll click OK, and now the fire damper sleeve and access door is there. We could also drag things like diffusers and grills. So if I come down here and I find a lay-in grill, I could drag that onto my screen, and I could confirm the sizes. And I put the grill on there. We can also do that for taking off pieces of equipment, symbols, and assemblies. We have two other buttons up here. One will show me my list of assemblies, and the other one will show my list of symbols. Now, on my list of symbols, I can drag and drop off that and drop it onto the screen anywhere I want to put that symbol. So now I have a symbol there, and I could drag that symbol out to here. Likewise, I could drag and drop off this assemblies palette, and here's a spin and diffuser flex, and it will prompt me for a size here. Those are 6-inch. And I could drag and put one there. Again, just confirm the size and knows the quantity is 1. Now in this case, it would be more efficient to count them all up and then select them, but this works great for that 1, 2, maybe 3 items that you might want to drag out and count up quickly off on your screen.